Welcome back to the Overflow Podcast. I'm Jeff DeBoard, along with Pastor Justin Smith, Austin Gibson, and we have a special guest with us this morning, our lead pastor, Justin's wife, Michelle. Michelle, welcome to the Overflow.
Thank you for having me.
I just wonder if you actually had a choice to be here or not.
She had a choice, yeah.
We are certainly glad that you've joined us here today. This is a Memorial Day podcast today, and church offices are closed today, but we chose to get together. This is a very special day. It's a day of remembrance for those who gave their lives in service to our country, whatever service branch. We are just so incredibly thankful for people who paid the ultimate sacrifice in order that we could have and enjoy and certainly appreciate the freedoms that we have. So for all of you family members who are out there who have had a loved one who have given their life in service to our country, we certainly want to take just a moment and thank you for sharing them with our country. And what an honor it is to be here and to say these things this morning, because this is an important day for our country as we remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, because as Christians, we see this as a kind of a type, an archetype, if you would, of Jesus Christ and what he was willing to do for us. So as he is our ultimate memorial, again, we just want to thank those who gave their lives in order that we could enjoy the freedoms that we have today. So if you're out there today listening, and we certainly hope that you are, we hope you have a blessed Memorial Day. This has been a busy week coming in. Sometimes we normally start off with a few sports stories. Right now, we have some shaking our heads. Okay, what's going on?
I watched the Indy 500 yesterday for the first time. I mean, I didn't know how big the sport was of Indy 500. I mean, I knew it was a big race, but I didn't know that many people. You know, I mean, Bristol, where we live, is 160,000, probably close to 200,000 people, but inside the track and the stands is 350,000 people.
It is. It's a memorial in Indianapolis. Now, where the Indianapolis 500 hits home with me is because my dad worked for years at General Shell Brick, and the nickname of the track is the Brickyard. Mm-hmm. So General Shell had quite an input into the construction of that. And if you go to the start-finish line, it's bricked across that. And, of course, an interesting tradition, the winner kind of douses themselves with milk at the end of the race. We had a first-time winner yesterday who had actually had been a points champion earlier on. So congratulations to him. We had a NASCAR driver, Kyle Larson, yesterday who wanted to do a double from the Coca-Cola 600 to the Indy 500. That didn't work out so well. Yeah. Kyle crashed out in both.
Well, I saw that at the very beginning. We were watching it at my dad's house. When we were down there eating Sunday dinner, and the guy that was warming up, they haven't even started yet. Tom Brady, is in the back of the car, and then I think Michael Strahan and him are driving the pace car maybe, or they're on the track too. And this guy, you see him, they're swerving in and out, and they're warming their tires up, and this guy swerves into the wall during the warm up. And he's out of the race. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that was terrible. And then Andretti goes out the first two laps, maybe just first lap, and then I didn't watch
those crashing into the walls and stuff before the race starts happens a lot in Formula One. When they're warming their tires up, they just slide off the track and fall.
This big weekend for Formula One, because it was in Monaco this week, which is kind of the crown jewel of the whole circuit season. And apparently there was 11 car pileup earlier on in that race, which is kind of unheard of in Formula One. But I think Lando Norris won that yesterday, which was a big win for him. A lot of sports transitioning into the summer seasons.
Yeah, but we got graduation coming up Wednesday. We got region champion, or not region championships, but region games for, I know soccer for sure.
Mm-hmm. Girls tennis, boys tennis has a representative in the region coming up the end of the week. So congratulations to all of our kids who are still participating in sports. Hey, if you get to the first almost second week of June, you're doing really well this time of year. So that's a big time.
And we got 316 soccer for our church starting this week with evaluations and everything. So right now we got 170 kids. I checked last night, signed up. So
they need to go online, to our Instagram, Facebook. If they haven't already, sign up. And also we need volunteers too. So This is the biggest outreach we do. How many years have we been doing it? We can.
We've been doing it 9 since we took over the program and everything with our church, and then total overall has been 19. And this is year 16 for me, so more than half my life.
Oh, goodness. Well, it has created a presence in our community, which we're very, very thankful for. And it's one of those, like we've said, an all-hands-on-deck time of the year for our church. When most things are gearing down for the summer, churches oftentimes are gearing up because there's a lot of things that we hope to be able to provide. 316 Soccer is one of those things, so we hope you'll come out and join us and share your kids with us for a few weeks. I think you'll truly, truly enjoy it. Really good message from yesterday, and I was kind of kidding a little bit before we went on the air this morning about civil disobedience and, the midwives of, regarding, the Egyptian command that if you see a male child, kill it, and what they were willing to do because they feared God, they obeyed God, and they certainly were blessed by God. It's a beautiful ending picture in that God provided families for them.
Yeah.
As an end result there. But, as we're moving into today, before we get started, Michelle, we're again glad to have you here. So, hey, tell us a little about your story and kind of warm us up this morning.
So I'm from Knoxville, and growing up in a Christian home, I had godly grandparents, first of all, that both came from different parts of the country. We had my mama and papa that came from Ohio, and God moved them to Knoxville. And then my grandma and grandpa came from Chattanooga, and they ended up in Knoxville. So just the story of seeing how God moved both sets of grandparents to the same church where we both, Justin and I, met. That's where my mom and dad met, in the same church. So growing up, from a very young age, both of my parents were in ministry. My dad was the bus director there at church, and my mom was the pastor's secretary. So pretty much me and my 3 brothers just lived at the church continuously. We all went to Christian school there. So Monday through Sunday, we were there at church in some kind of manner, whether it be at school or helping my family with ministry. So that's the youngest memory that I could remember, is just helping Dad and Mom, and that's where we met.
Yeah,
that's very exciting.
She was a junior in high school, and the way that we met, she was playing basketball, and my youth pastor up here at the time was the coach of one of their rivals, and her coach, Mr. Kaiser, and Jesse were real close. And, of course, Mr. Kaiser, he passed away, while we were, I guess, serving up in Bristol, wasn't it? And so, but he told me to go over and just kind of scout the team, and I went. And I saw Michelle, and I mean, she was she's probably the best athlete in our family. I mean, that's where my kids get it from. I don't like to talk about me, but she was good. I mean, she was a state champion like three years in a row.
Huh. That's cool.
Volleyball, basketball. So, but yeah, so we're very competitive in our house. And she's the quiet one, kind of laid back, don't really like to say anything, but she is competitive. She is but if you're an animal at our house, you're treated well. I mean,
okay, Michelle, what type of animal would you prefer to come walking up on your doorstep if it had no other place to go? What are you, cat, dog?
Well, growing up, we did have all kinds of animals. We had a pet turtle and a bird and a rabbit at some point. And then we had a cat.
No.
And then
I'm not a cat guy.
No.
We had 2 dogs, and one was named Abraham and one was named Isaac. And so one was my dog and the other was my dad's dog.
Where have I heard those names? Okay, I got it.
Just go down the whole lineage.
And my grandfather accidentally ran over one of the dogs. And so immediately I told my dad, well, my dog is still alive. So that's your dog that died.
Which one was that one? Was that Abraham or was that Isaac?
Abraham. So
needed to be Isaac.
Come back to life.
Yeah, that's right.
So we had all kinds of animals growing up. So I guess I've always enjoyed God's creation, and just we have 3 dogs now, so he won't let me get a cat.
No, she wanted a cat. So we went, Braden had a tournament in Morristown, and we went to a mall down there. You know, kind of malls are kind of a thing of the past, but they have one right there close to the Water State, I guess. And there was a pet store in there. And I'm sure Braden has been in one, but like, you know, PetSmart, but not like a pet store, you know, inside the mall. So we went in, and of course, Michelle went in with us, and she was talking about these birds that she used to have, and then there was these little kittens, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst decision we made. Thankfully, we got another game or two, you know, so we're not having to worry about, you know, taking them home with us. But yeah, it was, yeah, man, she loves animals. So
we had an opportunity while we were away last week in Juneau, Alaska. We went into an aquarium. Now, I didn't think that was going to involve a whole lot, because I'm thinking, well, if it's Alaska, it's just going to be 6 different types of salmon or something like that. I didn't know. But, man, we got in there, and I've seen crab legs. I've seen those on the menu. I've never seen Alaskan king crab. Those things are as big as the table that we're, literally, they could cover this table that we're in front of now. If you, of course, you don't know what we're talking about if you're listening, but this table's probably 5 feet in diameter, I guess. Yeah. And those things are huge. I also saw an eel that was 6 feet long, which was intimidating to me. And it, you know, and octopus, you know, those kind of things, squid. But goodness gracious, I always admire people, Michelle, who are animal rescuers. I would be a dog person, probably not anything more than that. Had 2 hounds growing up, a beagle and a basset, and but that is neat. You know, we were talking yesterday, or Pastor Justin was, about what was going to be required of the Hebrew midwives regarding the birth of those children, what they were going to be commanded to do if any of those children were male, were boys. When you hear a story like that from the heart of a mother, where does that grab you? Or
it's heartbreaking. My children are my greatest gift that God has ever given me, and any life, no matter, you know, is precious. And I can't imagine just their mindset when he gave them that command.
I know the one thing about the story of the Bible is kind of interesting, because when they're confronted about the situation and it wasn't working out the way Pharaoh had intended, what they basically said was, these Hebrew women are so vigorous. They're giving birth quicker than we can get to the birthing stools.
Yeah. And, you know, and a lot of people think they were just kind of straight up lied, but even history and even like some of the, you know, ancient writers say that the Hebrew women, for lack of a better term, they gave birth easier than other women.
There was a virility about them. And God was also doing what would be required to preserve his people, to preserve a race. We've been going through the book of Daniel midweek with our senior adults. And we're getting to that point now to where we're talking more about future events and what's going to happen at Christ's second coming, and what will happen, you know, at that time that will preserve his people, so that the nation of Israel will be ultimately redeemed, and everything will be forming in the way that God intended, a nation that would be pointing others to God, that will be proclaiming him, but also lauding Jesus finally as Messiah.
Yeah.
But even early on like that in biblical history, you see these things occurring because God was very intentional about making sure that his people would be preserved. And just another one of the things.
Well, and that too is kind of the backstory behind all the stories that we're talking about this year. You know, we're talking this year, our theme is the year of the story, and looking at It's a little bit different, and it's also difficult because you're trying to find stories that people have never really heard. And when you talk to people, I mean, you know, Shiphrah and Puah, most people knew they were midwives, but they didn't really know. I mean, if you said those names, they probably have no idea who they were. I mean, most people didn't even go to church. Just like JL. I mean, it was probably 80% of the people in our church had never even heard the name JL. Lois and Eunice. I mean, we know who Timothy is, but they didn't really know who his grandmother and mother were. Esther, we know her because, I mean, she's the name of the book of the Bible. So, you know, and then when we're starting out our new series coming up in June and July, we're going to be talking about warriors that we know they're warriors, but their names and, you know, coming up with a message about them and how that affects us. It can be difficult, but our story and the stories we're looking at go into the bigger story, which is that God had a plan through the seed of a woman to bring salvation and deliverance to the world and really gain back what Adam lost in the garden. And Satan's plan is to destroy that plan.
Right.
And that's what we see here in, you know, Exodus chapter 1 is, you know, maybe now Pharaoh, we know he was a pagan king because he worshiped the gods of Egypt, but I don't know if he was like realizing he was kind of fulfilling Satan's plan. But Satan used him and influenced him to try to carry that out because it didn't stop there. I mean, I didn't read the rest of the passage yesterday, but after that failed with the women, then what does he do? He says, hey, take all the male children and throw them in the river and let them drown. And, you know, Moses, of course, was saved, and was raised in Pharaoh's house, which, I mean, again, Satan, it's kind of like chess, you know, and Satan makes a move, God makes a better move until it's checkmate, you know, and that's what you're seeing throughout all these stories, that they all tie in and point to the ultimate story, which is the gospel.
Right. You know, we're looking at the layout of the message yesterday and the 3 points that you brought forth, you know, the fact that those ladies feared God, they obeyed God, then they were blessed by God. But everything starts with that fear. Mm-hmm. That was a word yesterday, Justin, that I thought you did a wonderful job of kind of bringing into a clear understanding of what that means, because this is not a terror of God that he requires of us. But what was it about that fear that what's different about that?
Well, I mean, it's you know, it's that reverence and respect. And you know, what we talked about yesterday is, I mean, this affected their lives. And like I said yesterday, who you fear is who you live for. And so you're going to fear somebody. You're going to respect somebody. You're going to honor somebody. You're going to reverence somebody. It can be yourself. It can be other people. It can be friends. It can be family. But you're going to have a choice, you know, in the decisions you make in your life. Are you going to live in respect and fear and honor of man, or are you going to live in respect and fear and honor of God? And so it's the beginning of wisdom. It's the fountain of life. It's the foundation. It's where we get our confidence, and we have to make decisions like they did, you know, because the question is, I mean, is this a contradiction here? Because the Bible says obey the governing authorities in your life, but then here they don't. And there's multiple times when God's people decide not to obey, you know, the governing authority because the law of man went against the law of God. And so we have the right to disobey the law of man because we want to obey God. And it comes down to fear. It comes down to respect. It comes down to who, you know, we're going to allow to live our lives for. And I think it's a great foundation. But it's not that we're afraid. But I remember growing up as a kid. I mean, and maybe you guys did too. I mean, you know, people had a reverence and respect for God and the house of God. I mean, you didn't smoke on the church steps where I went to church. I mean, you didn't throw beer cans out in the church parking lot. I mean, people just had a reverence, and it was probably a terror. Like, I mean, if they do this, you know, something's going to happen. But I mean, I think we've lost that. You know, people just don't have a fear of God anymore. You know, and the Bible said this, or Jesus said this: don't fear man who can kill the body, but fear the one who can take the body and cast your soul in hell. And there's only one person who can do that, and that's God.
Exactly.
And so this fear and respect is just, it makes everything, if I fear and respect and honor the Lord with my life, then that's going to impact all the decisions I make to want to please him and desire to live my life for him.
And it's crazy, like reading straight through, like right now where we're going with our straight through passage of the Bible and readings and everything. So like right now I'm in 2 Samuel, and just if you have that thought reading through, is this moment a fear God moment, or are they fearing people in these scenarios as you're reading through? And I mean, there's a lot of times that they're not really fearful of God. They're just making their own decisions and everything. So
yeah.
Justin, you've mentioned, growing up. Michelle, let me kind of come towards you with this one. Growing up in a home, I've always heard this from, I say always, it comes up quite often about the importance of that second generation influence in a family, the grandparents. What did you see in your grandparents that made you realize they were God-fearing people? What about them?
It's funny. A lot of times I would go to my parents for advice, and then I would go to my grandparents hoping they'd give me a different set of advice. And it never worked out that way.
Okay. Right.
They gave me the same set, which was follow God's principles. And I'm very thankful for the godly heritage that I have. I believe that made a big difference in the character of who I am today. Just to see their example and how, they went through difficult times. My mama used to talk all the time about growing up in the Great Depression and how hard that was. And just to see, she didn't have a driver's license. My papa drove her around everywhere, and he was a painter. And they didn't have a whole lot of money or any wealthy possessions, but they loved the Lord. And they were always in church, and they always made sure that we were, taken care of. And I don't know, just growing up in that environment is just something that I'll never forget. And it's a privilege, really.
So many people look at that type of an upbringing who didn't experience that growing up. They might think to themselves, gosh, think about what you missed out on in your younger years by having such a focus on the things of the church. You didn't see it that way, did you?
I didn't. That's all I knew was church. And it was important that my parents made sure that me and my brothers were fully grounded in God's Word. We had family devotions every night. Everything that we did was revolved around the church. And so I'm just thankful for that. I think sometimes in the middle when I was young, I thought, we have to go to church again.
Right. Sure. Okay.
But looking back, I'm thankful that the Lord had me go through, that environment to where that He prepared me for where I am today.
You bet. Absolutely. There was a line that the Lord gave you, Justin, yesterday that I took note of, put a star beside of it, because I thought that is a great phrase. You said, the fear of man casts a net.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build on that for just a moment. What can that mean for those that are listening out there today? What kind of a net are we getting caught in?
I think it's a lure. To me, it's when I read that verse, it's from Proverbs 29. It says, a fear man brings a snare, a trap, a net, a lure. To me, it keeps you from doing what God wants you to do. It lures you away from following God. If you fear what man thinks, opinions of man, your friends, it can be anybody. It don't have to be, the ungodly culture. It could be family and friends that have a different viewpoint about whatever. It can cause you to not follow God for your life. I mean, and you have to be careful when it comes to those type of decisions in your life, because ultimately it comes down to we are to live our lives and I give account of my life to Jesus Christ. And so if I fear man, or I fear what my kids are going to think, we're going to have these rules. You're going to be faithful to church while you're living with us. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go to church. You're going to be faithful. You're going to go to youth meeting, whatever. If I fear my kids, and we're going to cause issues, they're going to get upset about it, then it's going to cause you not to follow the Lord's plan for your life. I mean, that's just, it's what you fear is what you follow and what you obey. I mean, That's what you're going to live for. And it was a super simple message, super simple outline. But I hope it was so simple that people can remember it, because if they want to, I mean, here's the way I ended it is this. How many of you want God to be good to you? I think everybody wants the goodness of God in their life. And I think people want God to bless them.
Even a non-believer want God's favor.
So how does that happen? You have to fear God and you have to obey him. That's the way, I mean, God's good because he's good. He's just good to us. I mean, we don't have to do anything to get his goodness. He's good because that's who he is. But there was something about these ladies that they experienced that other people didn't experience. Just like Daniel and just like the Hebrew boys and just like, the disciples and Peter, they experienced a presence of God that a lot of people didn't experience because they decided to fear God and obey him and go against the grain and step out with courage and brave, strong faith to see God move in their life and experience that. And a lot of us don't get to experience that because we're so afraid of what man is going to say or what so-and-so is going to say or what this family is going to say or what somebody on social media is going to say. It was just like, Kristen the other day, talked about when she made that statement and like she went viral, like 12,000 negative statements about what she said about something in the Bible. I mean, you can either step up and say it or you can fear man and miss out on God's blessing for your life. I mean, we're going to face difficulty. Jesus, he lived truth. He was the most kind, generous, loving man that ever lived on the planet, yet he offended people because he lived by truth. He wasn't afraid of man. He respected and honored God with his life. And here's what he said. He said, I always do those things that please God. And that's what we have to do. And that's this whole thing of a trap. A fear of man, it traps you. It captures you from living the way God desires you to live.
Austin, I'll throw this one towards you. How complicated will life become if it is our goal to try to please everyone that we come into contact with? What's that setting us up for?
Well, see, I kind of have the same scenario growing up and always being involved with church, with my grandmother being a Sunday school teacher and everything, and being taken all the time unwillingly. It's just like we got to go, And so I guess whenever I got older, to my teenage years, I kind of stepped out of that, and I was done with it, and I figured I'd just go do my own thing, and then just want to hang out with my friends outside of the walls of the church and everything, and look for something, for myself, and trying to, like I said, please everybody and do what they're wanting to do and not go, down here to church or anything. But, obviously it did not work out. There was a lot of struggles, a lot of pains, a lot of things, and there was never any answers, it felt like, in those scenarios until, I started coming back down to youth when I was, 15 years old here. Like I said before on the podcast, I've got invited and everything, and then I just felt like a sense of belonging and a sense of meaning. And it's definitely different once you get back involved and you have, Jesus on your side and God on your side, that you can have those conversations with somebody and find meaning and purpose for your life, because you're not going to find it in man itself, and trying to answer their needs and their calling and everything. And man, my life, ever since I made that decision to start coming back to church and everything, and get back involved, my life has been way too blessed, honestly. And there's just so much stuff that God just throws at you, and you just don't think it's going to happen in that way. But it's crazy how it happens, whenever you start answering to God and fearing God rather than, fearing man itself.
I think the desire that many people have is to be a chameleon in this world so that you can adapt to whatever culture, whatever surroundings you may find yourself in.
That's exhausting.
It is exhausting when you think about it. It is extremely complex. You will find yourself at some point in time looking back and wondering, okay, who was I to whom and when? And you become confused. That's a load that people try to carry, and for some reason or other, and it is a perversion of our common enemy, they find some sort of relief in trying to be who and what the situation calls for, when there's no standard, no center of purpose, no establishment of truth in their life that can enable them to experience what many people refer to as the purpose-filled life that only a relationship with Jesus Christ can offer like that.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I was growing up that way, being in church and being involved. And now looking back on my life is like, man, I'm so thankful that I at least had that grounding, beforehand, that I could come back to it. I think it's a great thing, like Michelle was saying about the kids and just how her life was growing up, being involved constantly in church. Justin was the same way. He was drugged to church and everything. And I mean, that plays such a big key for like parents to keep your kids involved. And then when they start feeling, I guess in your sense, more rebellious and just trying to go out on their own and do their own thing, I mean, it's going to happen. It's part of some people just want to fall to the world sometimes. But the thing is that most of those scenarios, especially from my perspective, like I felt grounded in that I had something to come back to. So I just say that and encouraging to parents and stuff, like you're not wrong for, dragging your kids to church, trying to get them involved, trying to get them to do things. Like it does play a sense and I feel like when you get older, like you remember those things and you're just so grateful and thankful. Lord willing that you turn your ways and repent of everything, and then you look back on that and you're so grateful for that.
You bet. Listen, it is the ploy of our common enemy that he tries to get us to focus on those things that the Word of God would try to steer us away from. It's the ploy that he had regarding Eve in the garden. They could partake of the fruit of any of those trees, but it was that one tree. And that's the one area that he tried to get her to lock on and focus on. And that's our common enemy's ploy so many times like that is, when the love of God is inclusive and he's trying to offer us salvation through Jesus Christ, which is a worldwide invitation. But oftentimes our common enemy wants to get us hung up on this thing and that thing as a deterrent to keep us from coming to know the truth.
Well, and I think the blessing, too, of being a man or woman or a family that fears and obeys God is it's a generational blessing. And so, I mean, what we've all talked about here is we were influenced by our parents or our grandparents, and that influenced us to be, most of us, well, all of us here are very involved in church. We're faithful, and we're trying to teach and raise our kids to do the same. But if you look on the other scope of that, families that weren't, parents that aren't, the generational blessing that they give is a generational curse, because, I mean, it's that old saying, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. I mean, if you look at a family, I mean, I've been in ministry for going on 25 years, and I don't know it all. I'm still learning a lot, and I still got a lot to learn. But all you got to do is look at the families, and most of the time, the children and the grandchildren will turn out just like mom and dad.
There you go.
If mom and dad are not faithful to church, the kids won't be. I mean, it don't matter. It don't matter who's pastoring. It don't matter who's doing it don't matter what ministries we have. It don't matter what kind of worship we've got. It is all based on, and I know there's some exceptions, but the majority of the time, you look at if you want to see why the kids are not faithful to church or not involved, all you got to do is just look at the mom and dad. And I know that may seem harsh, but it's just true, because all of us here are examples. I mean, we were all taken to church. Not that we liked it all the time, but we went. And now we're doing the same thing with our kids. And my kids don't always like going to church. I mean, I have to say, you're going today, and they've got ball games and all that and stuff. But I mean, if you look at it, it's a generational blessing or generational curse.
You bet.
And these ladies, God gave them families, which a midwife in that day was probably a midwife, and history tells us, because they couldn't have kids of their own. And so God decides, hey, they love God and they love children, so why don't I just bless them with families, since they're going to take care of these kids? It's an awesome story when you read it. I mean, just how God protected them and blessed them and provided for them.
Michelle, I got one last question for you. You ready?
Okay.
You grew up in a house of boys, 3 brothers, correct?
Yes.
What was that like?
Lots of chaos.
Okay. Did that, I'll say this, I've got a dear friend of mine who, I think out of a family of 5 or 6, she was the only girl. She was also the youngest. So I always used to look at Christy, and I would say, Christy and I, we kind of worked together at Holston Valley for a few years, and I used to say, goodness, that must have formed some pretty tough metal in you. So could you say that the same about you, maybe?
Yes, definitely. I was the oldest. But yeah, having 3 brothers was a lot of fun.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
That's the way Amber's mom is, too. She's just the only female of all the brothers and stuff, and then she controls them when we go out there and stuff. It's just so funny how they try to aggravate her, but she knows how to put them in their place now.
I would say now I'll take up for Michelle's brothers because they're not here to take up for themselves, but I will say this: they all know that Michelle got away with everything because she was the girl.
Man,
they didn't get away with nothing, but she'd never done anything wrong. She was like the perfect child.
Are you going to agree with that, Michelle? Okay, good for you.
Our kids would. I mean, our kids now.
Y'all have a beautiful family, that's for sure.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Today's my dad's birthday, so I'd like to tell him happy birthday.
Please do that. There you go.
He's 100 years old.
And with that, we'll sign off today.
No. Hey, thank you guys for listening and tuning in to the Overflow Podcast this week. I hope it's a blessing to you. And don't forget to come check us out at Gateway Baptist Church here at Weber City Campus 9 and 10:15, or at our Gate City Campus at 11 o'clock. And if you ain't got your kids signed up for soccer, go ahead and get them signed up for 316 soccer this week. Evaluations Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday night, and then Saturday 11 to 2 at our Gate City Campus. God bless you. Have a good week. Happy Memorial Day.